Hi, my name is Stefan Beeli. I'm the CIO of Pegasus One, and this presentation is Why DevOps Fails and How You Can Succeed. Today we're going to talk about the reasons that cause DevOps to fail and what you can do to avoid these mistakes. I hope you will be able to benefit from and learn from some of the mistakes we've made and the experiences we've had so that you can eventually succeed and reap the benefits of DevOps. So, what is DevOps and why is it receiving so much attention? Is this just another flash in the pan technology that'll be dead in 5 years? Well, I think we all know that predicting technology is really it's a losing proposition. But we can say that the benefits of DevOps are real and that we feel it's worth the effort to understand and utilize it as a comprehensive way of producing quality and timely software. When I say timely, I don't mean that it survives the test of time, but that we produce it in a rapid manner. I mean, simply put, DevOps is a set of practices that combines software development and IT operations with the aim to shorten the system's development lifecycle, or also known as SDLC. It's a way to get better at producing high quality software in a shorter amount of time. There is a formal definition of DevOps, one that was put out by Amazon, and I'm going to read this here literally because it's pretty good. But excuse me while I read the definition of DevOps as defined by Amazon. Amazon defines DevOps as the combination of cultural philosophies, practices, and tools that increases an organization's ability to deliver applications and services at high velocity, evolving and improving products at a faster pace than organizations using traditional software development and infrastructure management processes. The speed enables organizations to better serve their customers and compete more effectively in the market. In short, DevOps focuses on continuous delivery of high quality software. So I think that's a pretty good definition. It's rather long-winded, but so am I. But it does tell us a lot of things about what DevOps really wants to accomplish. So why are people interested in DevOps? Well, a little survey was done, and let's look at the results here. So the question that was asked is, what need led to DevOps adoption in your company? And this will give us some insights into the benefits of DevOps. So the teams that adopted DevOps will tell us why they thought it was needed. 47% of the respondents here, if you notice the top line, in the survey termed the need for greater collaboration between the dev and op teams as the reason. I mean, I would say that goes hand in hand with DevOps. DevOps can't succeed unless there is greater collaboration. And no matter what, even if you don't use DevOps, greater collaboration is all between the dev and ops team is always a good thing. Customer demands for faster builds is another popular reason, 41% for DevOps. Cloud deployments and the greater complexity of multifaceted infrastructure were also other popular reasons why teams chose to adopt and benefit from DevOps. So all these here are business pressures that, if handled properly, successfully, will give you an edge on your competitors. So we asked this question before DevOps, what pain points were you struggling with in projects? And like everyone in software development, we're always trying to get better at producing higher quality software in a shorter amount of time. And in order to do that, we looked at these pain points and how DevOps would resolve them. We had to deal with code library misuse, not using a current version that was in production because someone else was updating it. Things like merging code was difficult, especially when you have multiple developers working on a fast changing project. Oftentimes it was lengthy testing, and that even after small changes, you have to make sure that nothing's broken. So there's a lot of manual testing even that needs to be done. And there's inconsistent testing. You did a change. Oh, you know what? I had a checklist. I couldn't find it because Alan was doing something over here, and you know you forgot a test case, and now it's broken. All that stuff will slow development times, and at times rolling back from a change that should not have gone in or hasn't been fully tested can be very difficult. But these are struggles that every development shop of any size has. And the goal of DevOps is to put some rigor and some discipline and to change the culture and philosophy to make sure we can do all those things we want to do and be able to handle the difficulties in a managed manner where we know that our testing is complete, that if we merge the code that it's going to work. So our goals are, like we talked about, merging the code. You want to merge your own code and also make sure you get the latest. You want to automate the unit testing. That's really all the testing. As much as possible, we want to put in automated testing so we don't miss any of the use cases. And branching of the code. We want to be able that we can branch the code between bug fixes and long-term feature development. So the entire project doesn't stall out because we're waiting for, again, James over here to finish that one part so we can do the rest of it. If we could branch the code separately and continue to develop along another branch, that will give us benefits. So implementation of this, it isn't easy. We always had to deal with a lack of processes, developers that weren't trained to follow these processes, and then we had to unlearn old habits and relearn new processes. We had to become more agile, and it's somewhat of a contradiction. We also, with DevOps, you also have to have a more disciplined approach. So let's do a quick refresher again of the key benefits of DevOps. We want to stay ahead of the game, faster time to market by increasing productivity, making use of automation in our testing. We want to be able to do faster recovery. And what I mean by that is when we issue something to production and a bug is found, there is a disciplined and well planned out method to roll back that update that was put in production. And we also want faster development. We want a reduction in the time it takes to cycle through changes. So let's talk about some of the best practices. And let's address these here one at a time. By continuous integration, what we mean by that, it's really a software development practice where developers are regularly going to merge their code changes into a central repository, after which we can do automated builds and also tests. And the key goals of continuous integration are to find and address bugs. You want to find them quicker. We want to improve software quality and reduce the time it takes to validate and release new software updates. Basically, you're going to check in what you know as working code. You do it every day, and then it's merged with other changes. Then it's run through the automated unit testing to see if it all checks out. That's what we mean by continuous integration. For continuous delivery, really we look at this as a software development practice where the code changes are automatically built, tested, and prepared for release to production. It's really expands upon the continuous integration we talked about earlier by deploying all the code changes to the testing environment after the build stage. And really, when it's implemented properly, the developers will always have a deployment-ready build artifact that is passed through a standardized test process. So the code that you're going to build, you're going to compile in your test environment, that's going to be ready for production. And before you deploy it, it will be there, and you will, of course, have what you have in production. So now you've got two good code bases that you can roll back to if you have to. Microservices. So the microservice architecture is a design approach to build a single application as a set of smaller services. Each service will run in its own process, and it communicates with other services, usually through an API, pretty lightweight mechanism. Microservices are normally built around business capabilities, and each service is scoped to a single purpose. It's almost like really little programs that you sit over here and they're doing just this one thing for you. It's kind of like they're breaking the problem into smaller pieces. That's what microservices are providing for you. It's similar to the COM components. If you're been developing for 10, 20 years, COM components that were developed. However, the microservices now are easier to manage operationally. They perform better and usually allow for simpler maintenance. Now, they're not a panacea for all these development problems. You might have to change the algorithm in order to be able to utilize the microservices. So infrastructure as code. This is really where you're able to virtualize your infrastructure. It's kind of, many years ago we started virtualizing servers. Now you can virtualize networks. You can virtualize pretty much everything and scale it up. And that's really nice. You can kind of create your own hardware in the cloud. Monitoring and logging. This is very important. We got to capture, categorize, and analyze your data that's generated by all these applications and infrastructure to understand how changes or updates impact users. We need to know what is going on with this complex software that we've built, these different pieces that are all interacting together. We can't see it interacting. We have to depend upon monitoring and logging to tell us what's really going on. And of course, you want to run it 24/7, and you're going to want to automate this and set up alerts if certain things that should not happen do happen, so you can react and make sure that your production system continues to run as designed. Communication and collaboration. So this is where increased communication and collaboration in an organization is really one of the key cultural aspects of DevOps. The use of DevOps tooling and automation of the software delivery process really helps to establish collaboration by bringing together the workflows and responsibilities of development and operation. It's like we talked about earlier. Collaboration is always good. More communication is always good. But you know what? There has to be a good reason to do it. I don't want to just go over and talk to Susie in marketing just because I want to talk to Susie in marketing. There are good things that you need to talk about that will impact and move the project forward. And those are the kind of things that we want to collaborate on. So DevOps initiatives can create cultural changes in companies by really transforming the way that operations, developers, and testers all collaborate. And this is, of course, during the development and delivery process. So getting these groups to work cohesively is really a critical challenge in enterprise DevOps adoption. DevOps is as much, if not more, about culture than it is about the tool chain. So the tools are important, but you have to have buy-in and you have to have people that can see and realize the benefit from DevOps. So, really, DevOps is about a change in culture and removing the barriers between the traditionally siloed teams of development and operations. So the teams have to work together to optimize both the productivity of the developers and the reliability of operations. They need to improve the efficiencies, take full ownership for the services, often beyond what their initial stated roles or titles have traditionally been scoped, by thinking about the end customer's needs and how they can contribute to solving those needs. Quality assurance and security teams also need to become tightly integrated with these teams. So organizations that really use this DevOps model, regardless of their structure, have teams that view the entire development and infrastructure lifecycle as part of their responsibilities. The silos and the walls of responsibility break down. Does it create chaos? Potentially it could. And that's why discipline and cultural buy-in, get everybody on the same page, is required for DevOps to work. You also might think that you're asking too much of your team to become more familiar with other responsibilities. So there'll have to be additional training, increased responsibilities, and of course you're now worried that they're going to ask for some more money. So expenses will go up. But from what we've seen, what normally happens is that team members actually welcome the new knowledge and appreciate the other team members' job responsibilities. I mean, you're still keeping the developers focusing on development. The operations people still focused on making sure production is running correctly, but you make them aware of how best to work with the other important pieces of the DevOps team. So, what tools are available and for what functions do I use them? Well, here's a list of some tools that we'd recommend for every phase of the SDLC, software development lifecycle. So, DevOps is really intended to be a cross functional mode of working. The tools used by DevOps practitioners are, we call them, or is known as toolchains, and fall into the following categories. So I'll go through the categories briefly. I'm not going to talk about each one of these different tools you could use. So coding, that's really code development review, source code management, code merging, a key piece of the whole DevOps philosophy. Building, continuous integration tools, build status. Testing, continuous testing tools that provide quick and timely feedback on business risks. Releasing, that's change management and release, somewhat related to coding and building. Approvals, that's the release automation and packaging. You can make a repository so you've got code version 1, 2, 3, whatever, if you have to roll things back. Then there's the application, pre-deployment staging, deploying, that's infrastructure configuration and management, infrastructure as code tools. And then, of course, operate, manage workloads and infrastructure, ability to easily scale as demands change. Monitoring, you need to have applications performance monitoring, make sure the end user experience is going as planned. And, of course, you have to plan, the project management and collaboration tools. Perhaps that one should be mentioned first because that's where it all starts. And this becomes much more important nowadays if you have a geographically dispersed team. So here's a list of some tools that we recommend for DevOps. I also have some URLs in Appendix A, some sites that also have additional tools that are recommended. I'm not going to list all these. You can go back to the presentation. So, there are a few key practices that help organizations innovate faster through automating and streamlining the software development and infrastructure management processes. Most of these practices are accomplished with proper training and tooling. So, these challenges, it takes work and discipline to implement DevOps correctly. One fundamental practice is to perform very frequent but small updates. This is how a lot of organizations innovate faster for their customers, but in the past has always been looked upon as risky. You don't publish any kind of update until you check everything out and then you do a massive release. But we now have tools to help us automate that testing. We have the unit testing, we have the branching and merging, so our confidence level that we're not going to break anything allows us to do these small updates and continuously improve our product. And if there is a problem, we can recognize it faster and roll it back faster. So while it might be frowned upon to do DevOps by a totally risk-averse organization, there are so many more tools nowadays that you can do the changes in a much higher velocity and have the benefits for it, for you, both your company to produce a better product and your customers, of course, to take advantage of it, that it's going to give you an advantage. DevOps practices, for instance, continuous integration and continuous delivery, they really solve these issues and let organizations deliver rapidly in a safe and reliable manner. So let's address each of the items listed here. DevOps is not the same as CI/CD. You do not need a central DevOps team. DevOps is about removing silos, not creating silos. DevOps is not just for development and operations engineer. Every member of the team is a part of it, including the QA, the testers. You need containers, microservices, and the cloud to do DevOps? Nope. DevOps is about collaboration. not technology. You can do DevOps without all those things. DevOps is about automation. Automation is critical for the success, especially when it comes to testing. But let's not lose track that it's not the main goal of DevOps. DevOps is not about tools, it's about the people, the processes, and the technology. DevOps doesn't replace Agile, it has a broader goal. Agile is really just a way to develop software. You can do DevOps without management buy in, but you really won't get far. C-level support is absolutely necessary to make organization-wide changes. You can DevOps your own little group and keep it as your Black Ops DevOps, but the rest of the organization is not going to see DevOps. You can enforce DevOps in the organization? No. Culture can never be enforced. It must be built. So before you decide to implement DevOps, consider all the time, organizational efforts, as well as new technologies and human resources you'll need for the DevOps initiative to be successful. To achieve this benefit, you'll need to transform both the software development processes and the IT infrastructure arrangement. Decide whether you have the in-house capacity to do so, or you need consultation from companies like ours, which have specialized in implementing DevOps across enterprises. The Pegasus One team can help with everything we discussed today, allowing you to make better software, faster, and with more returns. If you're looking for a software development partner and want to make sure that they understand and utilize best practices, Pegasus One can give you the assurance you need. So I want to say thank you. Any questions? Please, you can email to info@Pegasus One, or of course, contact us at either the phone or the corporate or sales office. Once again, thank you for your time. And this presentation has an appendix here at the end with other URLs for you to view. Thank you.